The ugly truth about private prisons, legalized slavery in our society. Date, January 22, 2043. Author, John Adams. As someone who has been incarcerated in a private prison, I can attest to the horrors of these institutions. Private prisons are nothing more than legalized slavery, where corporations profit from locking up their fellow citizens. The profit motive of private prisons leads to policies that prioritize profits over human rights. These prisons are not interested in rehabilitation or reducing recidivism rates. Instead, they prioritize keeping nonviolent offenders in jail longer because they are easier to manage and provide more profits for the corporations that run these institutions. The idea that a corporation can profit from the imprisonment of human beings is morally reprehensible. When you take responsibility for someone else's life or liberty, that activity should not be allowed to have a profit motive. Private prisons are a prime example of how greed can lead to the exploitation of vulnerable populations. As private prisons trade their very human dignity on the stock market, they turn human beings into nothing more than marketable livestock. It's a disturbing reality that we cannot afford to ignore any longer. We must demand an end to the profit motive in our justice system and work towards a future where every person is treated with the respect and dignity they deserve. But how do we achieve this? One way is to support initiatives and organizations that are fighting against private prisons and advocating for criminal justice reform. We need to elect officials who are committed to ending the profit motive in our justice system and who will work towards policies that prioritize rehabilitation and reducing recidivism rates. We also need to raise awareness about the horrors of private prisons and the devastating impact they have on individuals, families, and communities. We need to have open and honest discussions about the flaws in our justice system and the changes that need to be made to create a fair and just society. As someone who has experienced the horrors of private prisons firsthand, I urge you to join me in the fight to abolish these institutions. We cannot let the profit motive of corporations dictate how we treat our fellow citizens. It's time for us to demand justice, accountability, and a system that truly values human life and liberty. Friends, let us not sit idly by while our freedoms and rights are stripped away. We must stand up against oppression and fight for a better future. The power of one person's determination and courage can make a difference, and we must use that power to create change. Join me in the fight for justice, for human rights, for individual freedom. Let us demand accountability from those in power and hold them responsible for their actions. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can create a world where every person is valued and respected, and where the government and corporations work for the people, not against them.